This is a video tutorial for inserting a print code into a Map Composer window, and we might want to do this if we want to print out the CRS of the project that we're working on. State that our particular project is in a UTM zone, or is in a state plane, or is in WGS 84, and this is the code by which we would use to do that. So before we get started, this is the guts of the code here. So what we're going to do is inside Map Composer, we're going to insert a little script that asks us to import two things, and then it's going to get a CRS, and it needs the layer name, feature, and then it's going to return the name of the layer and then also the CRS description. And there's two parts to this process. So we need to load the script to go do all that. And then the second thing we need to do is we need to actually set up an expression that goes and gets our particular CRS. Okay, so we're going to do that together here in just a second. And what's important about this process is that there's other codes that we can put in and go get other elements that we might be interested in. But in this particular case, we're just dealing with the coordinate reference system for the project. So I have, if we go back here, I have two things. I have a UTM feature for the city of Santa Barbara, and then on top of that I have residential land uses. And the residential land uses are in the same coordinate system as the Santa Barbara features. So they're both in the same. And then of course, if I even go up to my project and go to project properties, I should see that I'm in zone 11 also. So yeah, everything is consistent across the board. That's really what I want to have before I do any of this type of work. But what this code's going to do is just go get the CRS from one layer. In this case, we're going to use residential. So what I want to do is go into Print Composer, and I'm just going to call this SB for Santa Barbara. And I'm going to drop in my map. So first thing we're going to do is just see our map. He comes in, and then I'm going to set up a little bit better here. So that's pretty good to start. And then what I want to do is I want to insert a source. And part of sourcing is I may want to have reference to the coordinate reference system. And so I need to insert some text. So I'm just going to go put a little text bar here, and I'm not going to mess with the font. I'm just going to keep it its default font, and you can see right here, here's the default font. So I want to say that the CRS is going to equal to something, so I want to know what it's going to be. And to do that, I can just insert an expression. Of course I could just type it, but let's go through the process of doing the code so we understand how that all works. So we're going to click on insert an expression, and we want to be in the function editor. And you can see I already have something called print CRS set up, and here's the code right here. So let's just go ahead and make a new file together, and I'm going to call this print CRS2 and say OK. And I'm going to get rid of all that there. And for print CRS2, what I'm going to do is go ahead and get my code and just copy that and put him in. And then after I do that, I'm going to say load. Okay, so I load it, and then I say OK. So it's currently loaded, and then what I need to do is I need to insert under the expression, not the functions editor. Remember, I'm already set up in the functions editor. I want to, let's make sure that I load that again. I want to go over to expression, and here I want to say, in the expressions tab, I want to say get CRS. So it's going to be get CRS. So it goes in like that. And of course, your layer name needs to be changed now. So in this case, it's going to be residential. You'll use the title of your particular layer that you're interested in. And you can see the output preview is exactly what we want. And we just go ahead and say set, OK, and it puts it in for us. And then once it's in there, we're not going to mess with the coding up here at the top, we can see it down here. If we want to add something in like we could say project CRS, we could do that, and we can see that the effect happens over here in our actual text. And of course I'm not going to mess around with the fonts right now, but we can go ahead and change the font and the positioning and all those things of the actual text box. But that's how we can get the actual project CRS or the layer CRS into QGIS if you want to reference it for your final cartography for a project.